I'm Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I want to break down the tone that you just heard in that intro. It's using custom scales and the custom shifter, one of the coolest and most advanced features of your Fractal unit. I'm going to be using the AXFX3, but you can play along on whatever Fractal unit you happen to have. Before we talk about the custom shifter though, let's just talk about the difference between diatonic or intelligent pitch shifting and just straight up interval-based pitch shifting. So I'm going to start out using this dual chromatic type in the pitch block. You can see that I've disabled voice 2 over here. And I've done a cool trick where I've placed the pitch block after this very distorted USA Mark IV lead mid-gain amp model, but I've set the detector source for the pitch shifting to input 1. This way, my Fractal can listen to my clean DI signal to detect the pitch, but it can place the actual pitch shifting after the main source of distortion. This can make things sound a little smoother and more natural. If you want an old school janky style pitch shifter, try and place it before the amp. What you're going to have there is your main guitar signal and the pitch shifted signal, and you're going to get a bunch of intermodulation distortion. If you don't know what intermodulation distortion is, basically makes guitars sound like guitar when you distort it. In this case, this is going to sound a little bit more like two guitars playing at the same time because we've placed the pitch shifting after the distortion. We're going to avoid that intermodulation distortion. Enough nerd talk though. Let's have a listen to what this sounds like. With the dual chromatic type in here, I've set the shift to 3. So this is going to give me a minor third higher than any note I play, and that's just it. It's going to be like having a mirror of yourself playing 3 frets higher on the guitar. It can sound really good, but if you wanted to, say, play an Iron Maiden style harmony on the guitar, it's not really going to work for that. Have a listen. Now that can sound really cool if you're going for that effect. If you want to have octaves or fifths, sort of more stable style intervals on there, that's going to work really well. However, if you wanted that pitch shift to stay within a particular scale, then you'd want to use the diatonic pitch shifter over here. So again, I have set this up in the key of A. I've gone the same harmony, the same level, the same mix on there, but this is listening to my pitch and it's going to shift everything relative to the scale that I select. So in this case, the natural minor scale. Have a listen. Very, very nice, and that is great if you want to simulate another guitar player playing a harmony line with you. The custom shifter, though, will let you, along with custom scales, define any type of interval for a given note. So when we had non-diatonic or chromatic pitch shifting, basically what we're saying is, hey, just play up a set number of frets from every note. With diatonic pitch shifting, we're saying, hey, move up according to the scale. With the custom shifter, we're saying, hey, listen to a custom scale, and we define the custom scale in the setup menu under scales. So I've gone for custom scale number 2. Now have a look at this. We get the 12 notes of the chromatic scale, and we can tell the shifter to move them around however we like. For example, if we set all of these intervals to 3, that would be equivalent to using the chromatic pitch shifter. If we adjusted all of these intervals for their place, say in the A natural minor scale, like if I had A going up by 3 semitones, but C going up by 4 semitones, and I map that out across the scale according to that natural minor, that would be like using the diatonic pitch shifter. So the diatonic pitch shifter's already done all of that. For this, we can set it to whatever we want. The classic example would be, say, like the harmony in The Boys Are Back in Town, or anything that's got a minor pentatonic harmony where it's almost going to be following what, say, a natural minor or a major scale does, but you'll have a few offsets. Here, I've gone absolutely crazy with it, and I've thought, you know, what would be a cool sequence to map out, in this case, in the key of A. So I've got a bunch of these notes going down a whole octave. So you can see the G, the F, and the A are going down an octave. The B is going down 4 semitones. So when I play a B note, it's going to play a G underneath it. We'll have a listen to what that sounds like in just a second, but that's going to give me essentially a third interval on there. The D and the E I've set up to be 7 semitones down. So basically when I play a D, I'm going to get a G note underneath it, which is a G power chord. When I play an E, I'm going to get an A note underneath it, which is an A power chord, I've also set it up so that the C sharp note goes down 16 semitones. That is going to give me a low A on there. So if I want right at the end, I can play a C sharp and kind of resolve with a pickety third onto an A. If all of this sounds over your head, don't worry about it. Try these settings out. I've plugged them into the custom shifter. So I just say, hey, custom shifter, listen to scale number 2, where I've defined a bunch of intervals, which are basically just going to let me play A, D, and F in a variety of different ways. I've set up both voices on here. I've panned them out hard left and hard right. I've added a bit of detune so it will sound even wider. And I am using a stereo cab in here. So this is still going to give me that nice stereo image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the notes A, B, and C. The A will get a low octave. The B note will have a G underneath it. So it's going to sound like a major third off the G. And when I play C, that's going to give me an F below it. That's going to sound like an F power chord. So without the pitch shifter, it would sound like this. Doesn't exactly sound natural. It almost sounds more like a guitar synthesizer, but I love that particular tone on there. It doesn't sound like anything else I've heard before coming out of the guitar. And while I'm playing some melodic lines on there that I'm really familiar with, this is absolutely messing with my ear because it's making it a lot less predictable. I'm so used to playing those notes and what they sound like on their own. I'm also used to hearing them harmonize, which you might get out of, say, a diatonic pitch shifter or with a set interval above them. But by messing around with these custom scales where we can set up different intervallic shifts per note, you can really, really open up some creative possibilities on here. So what I'd recommend is, say, take that idea and then, slap on a big stereo delay. I've got the stereo tape, a big pitch shifted reverb like the Ursa Major reverb, and then you can have some fun like this. Even further on that, and I'm going to make use of the fact we've got 2 pitch blocks in here. I've got the same custom scale and custom shifter setup. I've just placed it after the amp and cab over here. Part of that is peeling off into the Crystal Echoes algorithm in the pitch block. Another is going to the awesome sounding Plex Verb. And then again, we've got a stereo tape delay. In this case, just the gold plate reverb over here. This sounds even more like a guitar synth or something like that to me. One last example to go totally overboard. I took the chords for the chorus in a ragdoll song called Shine, and I took each individual note in there and mapped it to a different custom scale. So we're going to have 4 different custom scales, one for each voice across 2 of these custom shifters. So I've got scale 10 and 11 in this first pitch block, and then scale 12 and 13 in this other pitch block. What I'm going to do is just disable these. I'll very quickly play you the chords that are in this chorus. It's in drop C. Nice and big and chunky. There's a few extended intervals in there. So let's enable these and have a listen to what we get. Fun. Let's take a look at the custom scales. The first 3, so 10, 11, and 12, are pretty straightforward intervals. This one is mostly an octave down, except for one note, which is going down 7 semitones. This one is either 5 semitones up or 5 semitones down, depending on the note. Then we've got basically 7 semitones up, except for a couple of notes in here. The F is going up 5 semitones, and the A flat is going up 11 semitones, because I want to create this major 7th sound on there. And then finally, this is where it gets pretty wacky. The 13th scale in there, look at this. We've got 14 semitones up. We've got an octave up. We've got 10 semitones up, so that's going to give us like a minor 7th. We've got one note in there, which is only 6 semitones, so that's going to be a tritone, or the devil's interval if you like your heavy metal. We've got one in here which is a major 3rd, and another one which is a major 7th on there. So creating a bunch of really, really cool custom chords out of that. And then, you know, if we chuck on something like the plex verb at the end of it, I'll just play you all out with this example, because starting with the idea of taking some straightforward, you know, hard rock guitar harmony, you can really turn this into something that you would never expect. Again, it like breaks your brain on there when you hear all these custom intervals in there that aren't consistent. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I will see you all on next week's Tuesday Tone Tip. Have some fun with custom scales and the custom shifter.